Okay, ladies and gentlemen, baby, you
It
ready
is
to
pretty
go?
amusing. Yes, I'm ready.
I love it. I love it. Ready to go live?
I am.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome
Hi,
to
guys.
the Day with the Hump, and we've got a pretty sensational show lined up for you. That's sensational, not sensational. Those shows are on Tuesdays, and you need a password. So we'll work on that. Coming up in this episode, we'll talk about a new voice button contest. We did it last week for, was that
Fanaka?
We did it last week for Fanaka.
I will say, you guys, Sean Dyer won fair and square. Even though he didn't guess Fanaka, I still thought it was worth it. That hero turned around and spent all his money at ScottSigler.com. Isn't that insane?
Yes.
Isn't that
I thought
crazy?
that was the whole content point we were getting to, wasn't it?
Oh, no.
No, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. We have a GFL 7 word count update, Junkie, Pics, and Pupdates. We have UPS Magic as part of our 2-part shipping debacle special feature.
Magic.
USPS, what'd I say?
UPS.
USPS, Postal Service shipping debacle. If we have time, we will go to questions. And let's get to the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen. This week we're celebrating Pizza Day.
We are.
And A will finally talk about her pizza sauce recipe soon. But first of all...
Here's the pizzas.
Ow, snap, Becky.
So I will tell you guys very briefly. It's a super short story, but I neglected to tell it last year because we ran out of time, and then I totally forgot until this year. So the pizza, if you want to make this pizza that we make, we use Conji Lopez Alt's Foolproof Pan Pizza. And if you Google Foolproof Pan, that recipe will show up from Serious Eats. Super easy, absolutely wildly foolproof. And then you can top it however you want. We do two things that I want to tell you about before you use it. We have a 12-inch pan, not a 10-inch pan, a 12-inch cast iron pan. So we make the recipe I make the recipe at 1.5 volume so that it fills 2 12-inch pans instead of 2 10-inch pans. Secondarily, the thing that I didn't tell you last year was the sauce. And I mentioned that my great good friend, Camilla Montella, who has since passed away, was the mom of one of my friends. And she was a spectacular woman. She was an Indian native born in Thrissur, India. And she came to the United States to Philadelphia in the 50s to go to medical school. And when she came, she was engaged to marry someone back home when she got back home, which was traditional, is still traditional in some parts of India. And she met her husband, Ralph, in Philadelphia. And Ralph is a first-generation Italian-American. And they got married, and she stayed in America the rest of her life. And also, of course, I went to India in 2001 with Mom Montella. So she used to cook a lot, and my mom did not cook. So Mom Montella taught me to cook a lot of things by sight, by heart, and by taste. And this pizza sauce is one of them. I told you about where she came from and that she's Indian to tell you that she didn't learn Italian cooking until she was 30 years old. So she sort of incorporated her Indian cooking, which is lots of like looking with love at the spices you put into something. And she brought that to her Italian cooking. And so the only secret is you take any can of tomato sauce. I told you this last year, Leela. Leela Montella Moccasin is in the chat room tonight. And I might be getting the timing wrong of when she came to the United States or whatever. But Mom taught me how to make Italian pizza sauce. And she kind of said, you measure with taste and whatever. But the thing that she taught me that I put into most of my Italian cooking, which I hope is true for anything but pizza sauce in Mom's archives, is she used a lot of if she was going to use a granulated onion powder or garlic powder, she'd also use minced garlic powder. It feels and tastes different. And so over the years, I've made the same pizza sauce that started when I was in Las Vegas at Mom's house and she was making something, and then just has grown over the years. So for me, my recipe looks like this. I take a teeny tiny jar of pizza sauce. They're like this big in the grocery store here in the States, maybe 6 ounces. And I put, or tomato sauce, and I put that in there. And if I have some leftover wine, I put that in there. And then I measure like a handful of minced garlic, and I put that in there. And then I made a handful of minced onion, and I put that in there. And then I look in the fridge, and I see, do I have any chopped onions still in there? Because chopped onions is a big part of all of my cooking and everybody else's cooking. And so I do all that, and I let it simmer, add a little water, make sure it's the right thickness, and then it stays in the fridge for up to 2 weeks, and it's pretty easy. I learned so much from that tiny, beautiful woman, and it wasn't even her job. She was a OBGYN. She had a huge, full, busy life. And the thing I know most about her is I learned how to take care of people and be a good hostess. And I learned a lot about cooking from her. And I find that kind of fascinating because sometimes you meet somebody in your life, like you meet them at work, and what you know about them is work. And sometimes you meet them at home, and what you know about them is what you see at home. And I know that she had such a full, vibrant life in all of her compartments, but I mostly knew her as mom and never once knew her as a doctor. And I love that story. So anyway, if you would like it in like written out, just email me.
Info@EmptySet.
Info@EmptySet.com, and I'll send you my recipe as it exists.
Also, I'm very glad I met this woman because this pizza is friggin' delicious. This is amazing.
She was
amazing sauce.
Absolutely spectacular, like sort of human guide in your life. You didn't know that was going to guide your life, but she was the sort of person who guided your life.
It's Indian Italian cuisine with the slash. People have this all the time. It's very common. Very, very common. All right. Now, we have a tweet of the week for you guys this week.
Maria, that's fantastic.
Thought we had a tweet of the week for you, but I can't seem to figure this out. Hold tight.
Maria, of course, Leela is Mom Montella's daughter. And Maria is my best friend, and she is an Indian woman as well. So it's interesting that her mom taught her the same thing.
All right. I think I have this correct. We had a tweet this week. A and I, go back to main real quick. A and I have told you we're in the process of doing a bunch of work on the website. We're doing all the under the hood stuff now and should have something to show you in a few months. You know, not that nobody gives a crap about websites, but it's easier to navigate, easier to buy stuff, which is important because we like to sell stuff. So that's going to work out good. But we're in the process of moving all the MailChimp mail subscriptions over from MailChimp over to the new ScottSigler.com Shopify website. And it's taken me weeks and months to figure this out and working with a lot of people in customer support. Finally, we got it done. So it was a big moment. But then when I export this big list from MailChimp, I have to go through and check every line, every single line, and adjust a bunch of data. So I tweeted this. Oops, hold on. Go back to tweet scene. I tweet this. We're moving our customer database from WooCommerce to Shopify, and I'm going through 15,000 records, one by one, to make sure all is well. It's freaking bonkers for this dirty butt small town kid to see I have readers/fans in all the states and all over the world. Luxembourg, what? Having some fun. I have been accused many times of not taking the win and always not always complaining. But how would you describe it?
You're terribly self-critical.
Not being like, hey, we got this. This is awesome.
Yeah, you sort of look at you're like, what negatives do we still have to solve, or what issues do we still have to solve, and forget to say, we did most of it well.
So I post this trying to work on that work on my personality a little bit, my personal development a little bit. My personality is perfect, you guys.
I mean, I wouldn't have said it any this way at all.
A lot of people are telling me it's perfect. That's what I've heard. So I decide I'm going to great, I'm going to celebrate. This is really cool. What a cool moment, kind of cool feeling in the chest. Like, I have people all over the world. This is nuts. I grew up in a very tiny town. We get the thing of not a lot of people want to get out of the town kind of a thing. And to kind of make it, I'm like, this is one way I know that the work I put in over the last 25 years has been worth it. Made people happy, etc. And so then I'm like, as I start moving customer database, and then I get this back. I mean, my husband did get a tattoo on his back just because of your books. I thought that was was very accurate. It was very accurate. Not sure which back tattoo that is. Yeah. We've got a lot of back tattoos in the world of Siglerverse. But this brought it all home for me. I'm like, look, guys, I'm trying to be positive about this thing. Oh, yeah, also, this guy got a tattoo on his back. Win! Way better than customers in all the different continents and stuff. So that's our tweet.
I will also say,
week.
as you've been doing that part, you have said several times to me, like, okay, I see why. I see why dealing in the database at the website with the customer database is kind of a lot.
That's a lot.
Because I mostly do that myself. Let's see.
We got it done. Everything's moved over. So the next newsletter you get. Oh, speaking of newsletters, the next newsletter you get, will be from our brand new set, a brand new server, brand new Shopify, all that stuff. It's going to look a little bit more slimmed down and streamlined than it was before. But I think it not that you guys give a crap. I think it'll look a lot better, get the job done. Also, we have a new text number for those of you who weren't with us last week.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
855-955-5095. That is still also working within the new Shopify Grand Unified Theory of Marketing and Products and all the other things. If you text SIG text to that, that will sign you up, and we throw a text like, hey, we got a book deal. Hey, there's a SIGLERinPLACE coming up. Hey, we post an episode. Real simple, short stuff. And also, is that a plane?
It is a plane.
Also, at some point in the future, we're going to let everybody know, but there will be come a date when everybody who signed up for the text list is going to get a coupon of some kind to spend at the brand new scottsigler.com/shop store. So later on, when you hear me say, text 10% to this, and you're like, where's my 10%, you son of a bitch? You already got your 10%. So just calm down. Calm down. You already got yours. Jeez, oh, Pete's.
Apparently, pizza day gets them very spicy.
It gets me spicy. We got to have the pizza sauce.
We already talked about the pizza sauce.
I know. That took completely out of order. Coming up this Saturday, it's going to be a good time, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be doing a story smack. None other than Spinal Tap. Mm-hmm. It's quite frightening, the size of the... We have armadillos in our pants, actually. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be great. And Rob Otto's going to bring... He sent notes today, which I haven't read yet. I try and wait till the last second, if not read them at all.
Yeah, you mostly wait.
Rob finds so much cool stuff. I like to be surprised. And every time we do this story smack, I'm always surprised. It's a delight for me if you guys want to join us. We got a lot of fans who know a lot about movies. A lot of fans who just enjoy movies. Come hang out with us. That'll be this Saturday. Are we in February? February 12th, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific time.
Laughing at the stuff on the screen.
Gotcha. Go back to Maine. How are we doing on time? 6:13. We're just tearing through this.
Told you.
Hold tight. All right. Now, this is going to take a little bit of work because the technology is not working very well for this. But we are now launching another Guess the Character Inspiration contest. So your job, if you choose to accept it, is to try and guess the character I based one of the characters in one of my audiobooks on, or the actor or actress or person I based the character on. This one is going to be Zan from the Stone Wolves. Don't type your answer in the chat room. Don't do it. If you know it, if you think you know it, keep it to yourself. If you put it in the chat room, you're not going to win $100.
Right.
It's $100. And this is a difficult one, you guys. This is a fairly obscure one. But we're going to see if I can play this right now. Okay, but get ready in case this is too loud. Let's see.
Your mother is stupid. Do not denigrate my attempts to make myself more approachable and endearing to less intelligent life forms, like yourself.
Tell Aya and Beans to handle the kid.
That's
already told them,
she said. A plop, plop, plop sound. Killian looked at his hand, saw blood dripping from his sliced palm down to the bar's scuffed floor.
He cut you,
Zan said.
Perhaps you are getting old.
That got a rise out of Killian. You know damn well how he got me. If I wasn't on the Nasdor,
The entire bar would probably be on fire, along with the surrounding buildings and everyone in them,
Zan said.
I will take a few stitches over that. Thank you kindly.
And that's it. So
the way that you participate in this is that you email your guess to info@emptyset prior to, not next Wednesday, because next Wednesday we're going to be doing an office hours because we're going to be visiting Scott's parents and we can't bring all this gear with us. So we're just going to be can't do a lot of on-screen graphics and stuff. So we're just going to be doing an office hours then with his folks, hopefully. So it's the second, the 2 weeks from today, which is, let me tell you, the 23rd of February. Before the 23rd of February, email your guess to info@emptyset. If we get a winning guess, or if we get multiple winning guesses, the first winning guess will be the one that wins. I will tell you, if you post it on Facebook, if you discuss it, like whichever the first person is smart enough to email info@emptyset, they're going to be the ones who get the bucks. So go ahead and do that as you like. And you got 2 weeks because we're not going to reveal it next week. But
do you think, can we remember when we do office hours, we can give hints next week if nobody's guessed it?
Sure.
Yeah, so we'll give hints. So tune in next Wednesday. The goal is Wednesday, the same bad time, same bad channel, is to have Coach and Carol on for a FDO office hours. And hopefully if the technology and the internet connection in my parents' very obscure place permits, then we will have Coach and Carol on, and I'll give you a clue about who that voice is. I don't think anybody's going to get this one. This one's really, really tough. So We've front loaded the more difficult ones, and they'll gradually get more easier. And as they get easier, the amount of money we'll pay you will go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are quite hard, and
It's worth $100.
And not only that, just like last week, which was also quite hard and brand new, something close. There are a few answers we'll accept, but that's all I can really tell you. There are several options for you to get this right, but it is quite difficult, I think. Hey Dawn,
All
happy
right.
birthday next week. We'll try and remember for next week, even though it's not office hour or it's not SIGLERinPLACE.
Now back to Maine. Go to Junkies. Junkie Pics should be off. Pretty sure I have this right. Let's see. It's time for Siglerbrations. It's time for Junkie Pictures. We do both of them together. Honey, whenever you're ready, take it away.
So before we start with the photos, I would like to say, right before I came up here, Jenna Vidrich, who of course we love here all the time. I love her to death. She's a beautiful, happy, beautiful person. She got recognized for a promotion today at a job that she absolutely loves. And I find this one of the best things to happen in life. If you already have to go to a job, right? Like nobody's paying you for just being your fabulous self. You have to go do something. Receiving one's first unscheduled raise in the current position that they're in, like Jenna did, is a huge thing because you get recognized for doing the job you're already doing. You don't have to shine it up. You don't have to work extra hours. They just love you doing what you do, which is terrific because Jenna wrote that she loves her job and she loves where she works. So that's terrific. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Okay, let's go to it. Boom, 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 boom. Junkies ready for pictures?
I'm ready for pictures. All right, so this, if you don't know already, that beautiful, gorgeous human being is Evo Terra. Evo Terra this week, rightfully so, was inducted into the Podcast Hall of Fame.
I did not know that. I've been writing too much.
In the class of 2022. And this particular photo, I took myself, and it's one of my favorite photos of Evo in general, mostly because I took it. We were at a bar in San Francisco, and I was saying I don't really like hoppy beers, and that was his reaction.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Congratulations to Evo. It is so well-deserved. He joins a class full of podcast luminaries. And as of today, as of this induction in the Podcast Hall of Fame, there are 33 inductees. Since you guys are fans of Scott's, you will already know that he was in the first class of inductees
the
inaugural class in 2015, as was Mur Lafferty, who you probably also know.
Yes, she was also in the inaugural class.
Rob Greenlee is in this class.
Greenlee is.
It's kind of nice.
This new class?
This new class,
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
Todd Cochran was in yours.
Todd Cochran was in mine. Yes, he was. Yes.
And I think Rob Walsh is in this class, too.
Rob Walsh, yes. That's very nice. Yes,
Yeah.
Rob Walsh, very nice.
Very nice. Before I go away from Evo, if you've never met Evo, the best way to describe Evo, when you look at this picture, you can figure it out, is if you can imagine a straw hat on this man, and you are vacationing in the Caribbean somewhere, and you go, you know what? We're going to get a cabana. And you go to the front desk, and this gentleman goes like, I'll sell you a cabana. And you go to the cabana, he takes your money, here's your cabana. You go into the cabana, 5 minutes later, other people come in, they bought the cabana. Evo is the kind of guy who would hawk you a cabana that has already been sold and
Absolutely
then vanish and then homer away into the cheese pizza, and you would
Absolutely
never
not.
hear from him again.
100% not
I
him.
guarantee you.
Not him. He literally is like this. Hey, you guys, I've got this great idea. I'm ready to go whenever you are. I'll send you the one thing you need to do before we start. And then 2 months later, he comes back. He's like, hey, if you're ready to do that one thing before I do all the work, go ahead and do it. So I disagree with you, sir.
Hey, Matt, Evo is a cabana scalper. It's a fact. Who's this, baby?
All right, you guys. So this is Field Trip to Volcano Island. It came out yesterday. It is the third book in the Field Trip series, written by Junkie and good friend of ours, John Hare, who is Sherry, his spouse, is in the chat room tonight. She's the one who submitted this, and she said she's celebrating her husband's new book. We own both the first two books. They're very fun. They're educational. They're obviously young adult or children's books. They're wonderful. We've already ordered these, and they're on the way to us. But this new book came out yesterday. You can get it wherever you buy books. And Sherry says she's celebrating her husband's third book, his new book, and it's called Field Trip to Volcano Island. It's out on February 8th, and it's dedicated to Sherry. Go to the next photo. And it's dedicated to Sherry, so she's excited because it's the first book that was dedicated to her as well. But all three of them are wonderful. You can get them wherever books are sold. If you have children, they might love them.
Oh.
Whoop.
Well, what the hell happened there? Chris Vanderveer wants to know, can I be the official junkie of Quirky National Days? I mean, that's my day job. Info, email, and send. I have no idea what that means. Literally
I'm
no
not
idea.
sure what that means, but if you want to pick each Wednesday's day, please email me at info@emptyset.com. It's the worst part of me writing that script because I have so much paralytic choice.
If you're going to make next Wednesday National Cabana Scalper Day, stop. Just stop it. Who's this?
Has to be PG-13. Okay, so I know Mike is in the chat room tonight. This is Mike Thompson and his gorgeous wife, Kelsey. And in our last Sigler in Place, I think we must have touched on this because he sent in a really information-heavy email with all these great pictures, but I don't remember how it got prompted. But anyhow, he says this is his story of how he met his wife. He was introduced to the woman I married by a woman that I had been seeing a few months earlier. My band, all new episode, great band name, hello, was playing the last night of a week-long festival, and his former date brought her friends to the show. After the show, the former pulled him aside and said, "Hey, I think Kelsey thinks you're cute." So he says, "I shot my shot. I made a terrible first impression. A few days later, I reached out and we started talking. A few weeks after that, she invited me to come over to her dad's cabana at a beach club near where I grew up."
Cabana what?
He doesn't see these. He doesn't even have access to these notes. They're on my computer,
That's
so that's
amazing.
kind of fun. He says her grandparents were neighbors at the beach club with my grandparents. And if you guys are not from the East Coast of America, this is a very, very common thing in the Northeast of the United States. People go to everybody in the same sort of area goes to the same summer camp. Their kids go to the same summer camp. They have they spend the entire summer at the club with the pool and whatever. It's a thing. So he says, my dad grew up, they were neighbors at the beach club with my grandparents. My dad grew up with her dad and her uncle. We also both went to the same summer camp and on Long Island where we live.
Long Island.
Although the camp was very busy, so I can't guarantee that we didn't cross paths at that time. But they actually met as adults in the story I just told you. And so he says, that's the twisted story of how my wife and I's lives were intertwined until we met and started dating, and we haven't looked back since. Now you can go to the next photo. This is them now. So that was them in December of 2013.
Holy
and
cats.
This is their family
They had that baby in like 10 seconds.
I know. This is so the first one was December 2013. This is November 2021. Hey, Mama. And he says, dated, married, parenthood, and beyond. You guys have a beautiful family. That's a terrific story. Especially, I am a person who understood everything you said about the beach club and the cabanas and the summer camp and all the jazz. So I love all of that. I didn't get a chance to do the summer camp thing, but I totally understand.
We'll come back to this in a second. I just want to go back to the cabana side of the story.
Yeah.
If they have a beautiful story, they may have been at the same summer camp. They're not sure. If I was to write this story for one of my books, it would have been about this guy who wound up killing a hitchhiker when he was 11 years old at summer camp. And he wound up killing with this other person. And then they just both went away and never talked to each other again and forgot the whole thing. And then 20 years later, they get together and you went to Camp Jimma Jabba Doo? I went to Camp Jimma Jabba Doo. You know what I did one summer? And then they gradually find out that they are meant to be together because they've murdered and dismembered a hitchhiker when they were just 11 or 12. And it's
Mike
love
is
at first
saying,
sight.
please write him into a story like that.
And then, of course, this would be a demon baby because they killed a hitchhiker for a sacrifice. So,
but
obviously,
I love this story.
Obviously.
I love this meeting in the place. I mean, that's sort of our story at the end of the day. Meeting in the place where you're creative and feel the most yourself.
Yeah.
And having somebody see and recognize that this is a huge part of you. Yours was a much more straightforward story than ours was, but there you go.
Next. Oh, snap. Look at Mac Daddy.
Yeah. This is our good, brilliant friend, Dan Lundy. He has a birthday on, I think it's Saturday, Sunday, the 13th of this month. And it's, you guys all know him as Danny the Dolphin, but I'm going to read you what his gorgeous wife sent in about his birthday. Danny the Dolphin has a birthday on Sunday, February 13th, and I wanted to share a few pics. I only chose this one because we have a lot going on, and also look at how gorgeous and badass he looks in that photo. Dan has the biggest heart, and didn't flinch when I said I would like to have a football-themed wedding. If you don't know Jen Lundy, she's in the chat room now. She's absolutely wonderful and a huge Green Bay Packers fan, and if you can't tell by looking at the photo on your screen, Dan Lundy is a Seahawks fan. You can check out his tie. Zoom in and check out his tie if you need to. Anyhow. She says, Dan has the biggest heart and didn't flinch when I said I would like a football-themed wedding. Once the formal pics and dance concluded, we donned our respective jerseys and had the most fun. And I'm going to show you that on the 13th, or on the whatever it is when we come back, because it's super cute.
I would like, is all set?
Nope.
Okay.
Always willing to lend a hand and tell you the hard truth when you need it the most. And I believe that's true. I know that myself. Happiest birthday wishes to my love, Daniel. I think that couldn't be better.
I would like to point out that sometimes you get mad at me for my sophomoric humor, the endless ad nauseum sophomoric humor. I would like to point out this picture came up, and it wasn't me who said this. It's an actual PhD, a doctor of the sciences.
Uh-oh. Dan Baker's in trouble.
Who said, hey, is that a boner hedge?
I don't even understand that.
It's a hedge to hide his boner.
Okay.
Okay. Clearly, Dan did not grow up where we grew up.
I'm not saying it's not okay for you to say it. I'm just saying I don't get it.
Okay. I'm not in trouble. Dr. Daniel Baker, PhD, is in trouble. All right, now we're moving on to...
Oh, my gosh, you guys.
Here we go. Wait, are we here?
Lord sakes, you guys.
Shipping debacle. 2 parts. 2-part shipping debacle. Go ahead,
2 parts. Which one's the first?
You did
change it. Okay.
This one's first.
Great.
Yep, so go ahead.
So... Okay, you guys. So we ship out a ton of things. Now in the New World Order, what happens is I ship out books, physical books, but T-shirts, as you already know, come from a vendor called Printify. And you order them through our site. We never see them or touch them. And yet this happened. Okay. So Jason Smith says, hey, after Christmas, I still had some Christmas money burning a hole in my pocket. I decided to order a black Ionath Kraken shirt for myself. He's super excited. Oh, and he ordered a copy of Earthcore to give to his dad. Super excited to share the wealth, but also get his T-shirt.
Okay.
His dad got his Earthcore. And when his package arrived, it was a clear U.S. Post Office bag with our white empty set plastic envelope inside. And he says... He says a clear UPS bag came with a white bag from Empty Set inside of it. The UPS bag had a note stating, "We apologize for the damage of your delivery." You should show them what was in the bag.
Okay, real quick. You're going to see Danny Lundy here for one moment again. And now, here's what was in the bag.
That's supposed to be his property of Kraken's, or his Kraken's T-shirt.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a shoe.
That's a blue tennis shoe with no laces.
If you are the kind of person who walks around barefoot around a cabana all day, whether you paid the real person for it or a scalper, this is not something you recognize. This is a shoe. We don't sell shoes.
Jason says, inside the bag was one tennis shoe.
One. With no laces. What kind of cheap scalper? At least give him the other shoe, or at least give him the shoe with laces. I mean, something.
So he says he assumes that the U.S. Post Office put in the bag what they thought was supposed to go in there, but it was not the actual thing that went in there. So my favorite about this is some poor sucker somewhere out there, somebody else gets the other shoe, and then some poor sucker, or maybe just gets one shoe and a Kraken's T-shirt, and it's like, what the fuck is a Kraken?
Some poor barefoot kid from Sumatra is waiting for shoes. And he gets a Kraken shirt. Now, I hope that he is erstwhile and creative and makes Kraken shirt shoes out of the Kraken shirt. What's that?
BJ, you just made my...
BJ said, that's the shoe my Latino grandmother threw at me when she found out I sold her cabana to Dan Lundy.
And this is the reason we love SIGLERinPLACE. It's this craziness. Dude,
it's now like 4 layers of cabana jokes. This is amazing.
I have been laughing at this shoe thing. Once I ordered a mildew-free shower curtain liner. And a book about soccer showed up.
Okay.
And because the package had been received, I couldn't at the time. Now, apparently, according to Jason, you can tell, you can tell the postal service. Mine was Amazon. So I went to Amazon, but my package had been delivered. So there was to them, they didn't know the U.S. Post Office thing had happened. So they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. We sent it. You got it. I'd be like, yeah, but it's a book about soccer. And there wasn't even a way to tell Amazon, like, I didn't get my thing. And I don't know what to do here. But we got it all sorted out. Jason is all sorted out.
Very good. This is a
Goodness.
full on cabanaception. That is correct, Mike. I appreciate that. All right, now we're moving on to our second shipping debacle. We're going to go back to Maine. When I return to the picture, you'll see the shoe for a moment, and then we'll go on to. Go ahead, baby. Just I can't even.
This one is Sean Dyer's in the chat room. This happened to Sean, as I mentioned at the top of the hour. Sean spent some money recently in the Scott Sigler store. He ordered a handful of T-shirts, and as we have had happen once we shifted to Shop or Printify, sometimes the connection between Printify, ScottSigler.com, you and PayPal goes kablooey, and most of the time it fails. But Sean, friend of ours, good guy, decides, I'm going to call PayPal, see if I can figure out what. So what I will tell you is he ordered a Super Weapon T-shirt, a Kraken's Champions T-shirt, the Double Championship T-shirt, and an ISIS Ice Storm T-shirt. And this is the response that he got from PayPal.
Okay, go back to Junkies. And here's his response.
To comply with government regulations, this transaction has been declined. So Sean, being the great guy that he is, calls PayPal to see if he can resolve it. And his initial thought is maybe he got flagged because it says Super Weapon, ISIS, and Champions all in the same email. And PayPal can't fix it. They can't get it to go through. They can't get it to work. We've sorted Sean out. It's all good. However, I don't disagree that the reason might be that the trigger word ISIS and championship and super weapon.
I think ISIS and super weapon would do it. Well, how would championship?
I mean, if you combine them all, it's worse to also add champion in there.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
Anyhow, we've sorted him out. Sean made the suggestion that maybe in the store we change the name of the ISIS Ice Storm to just the Ice Storm.
Yeah,
and I
idea.
am sure we are going to be doing that after this cast. Literally after this cast.
Yes. You know what? I wouldn't have thought of that.
I know, me neither.
I'm like, you know what? Screw the man. That's the name of it. We can't change it for nothing. We're not going to change nothing. Let him figure it out. No. And he's like, let's just call it Ice Storm. Okay, that's a bebetter idea.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. I mean, literally, I haven't changed
Exactly,
anything
Robbie.
about the
They don't like bombs.
the Printify,
Yeah, okay.
PayPal, ScottSigler.com interface because I can't think of what to do because a lot of people can order a T-shirt, like just a singular Kraken's T-shirt, and some people can't. But this is one I can actually fix and test the system, so I'm going to do that.
All right, those were our shipping debacle stories. Now we go on to everybody's favorite part of the show, at least my favorite part of the show. We're going to move on to it's time for the Pupdates. The Pupdates.
Oh, yay. Oh.
And that
hello.
that is Squeaky.
Hey, Joshua.
It's hard for you to see. I'm sure you've been watching this on a phone. It's very tiny. But I will tell you that if you took all of the hatred that has ever existed in the world, pumped it into a mountain, and that hatred was so vitriolic and so tactile that it literally melted the inside of the mountain and became a volcano of hate and disgust and disdain, that is the amount of hatred that is in this little dog for me at this particular time.
And
she
the
does
crazy
not like
thing
me
here
at all.
is Squeaky loves Scott now. But as you've heard, you all know that when I first got her and I would show up to work every day where Scott and Reese lived 24/7, it was a live workspace. I would come in, and Squeaky would get to my desk. She had a little bed on my desk, and she would bark at Scott the first time she saw him. And then he'd get up and go to the bathroom, which means he was out of her sight, and he would come back into the office, and she would bark at him again. But now they're great friends.
We're pals.
That said,
She hated me.
that photo is fantastic because she absolutely looks like, it's a very, 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 very small shot that a Chihuahua will kill you, but it's not zero.
We'll go back to Maine for 1 second. Now, when I do this, I would like you to take your hand and put it on my shoulder, okay?
Okay.
Ready? So this is me sitting next to Squeaky, and then just like that. Just always should just shift a little bit.
And also,
Like, get your hand off me. All right, back to Pup Dates. And then we go to Pup Date, and we got, of course, our big pup pick this week is... we've got one of these moments coming up, and I like to celebrate the wins. And every time we finish a significant draft of a manuscript, we do, I guess, every draft of a manuscript. We finish rough draft, first draft, second draft, final edit.
just those. Sometimes you choose like one more, like with a light, you did the whole second draft twice.
Okay.
We don't celebrate all those. We celebrate the submission.
Submission. So we will be, you know what? It's my house. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have some champagne. We're going to, when we submit the, I forgot GFL 7 update. I'll go back to that. We forget GFL 7 up. When we submit GFL 7 second draft, we will have champagne. And if you can see one, is the pup, the champagne?
Is champagne.
Champagne. That one in front, that's champagne. We have a special toy for the dogs that only gets busted out when we have finished a manuscript.
Now we
or
have
in a
two.
book-
We also have
book come out.
Manichewitz wine because Reese is Jewish because her grandma's Jewish, so she's Jewish. So she has Manichewitz.
All right. No, we did not forget GFL 7 update.
Yeah.
Now we go to the pup show, and here we go. This is all y'all's pets. Who's this?
Oh, come on. I love the pup show so much. So, this, as you guys already know, I think I might have even shared this photo already. This is Dolly Purton. Dolly Purton lives with our friend Robin Taylor, and Dolly sent everyone in the Sigler household individual Valentines.
What? Give me one of those.
Yeah, I'm going to give you yours. Hang tight. That's yours.
Okay.
Both dogs got them. They match. I like that Scott and I have different ones, and the dogs match so nobody fights. But they're little
Mine
Valentines.
says, I'm very cute, I believe. And also, I rock. I rock like an IROC Z, you guys. That's how hard I rock. Yeah. And those of you who don't know what an IROC Z is, I'm sorry you were born after things stopped being cool.
Mine says our friendship is meowgical,
Oh,
but
God.
I get my own little Dolly sticker with it, so
Very nice.
I'm gonna do that.
Very nice. Next pup.
Let's see. Oh, all right. Okay, so you guys, this is Jason Brown. You guys know Jason. He's been part of the Junkie community forever, and that is Lucky in his lap there. The little eyes that you see sort of under his other arm, not in his lap, that's Void. That's his cat.
Oh, wow.
He's gorgeous. But the pup that you see, that's Lucky. Lucky crossed the Rainbow Bridge this past week.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it's actually beautiful. Jason says, went over the Rainbow Bridge this last week surrounded by his folks and all the love. Jason wrote, he was 15 years old, and I've heard it said that Chihuahuas are made of 50% trembling and 50% spite, and he embodied all of that to
that's
a T.
correct. That is absolutely correct.
So he was well loved, and he died at home, surrounded by all this love. He wasn't actually in Jason's lap, but he was in Jason's wife's lap, so he knew that he was loved every moment of his life. And I agree, Nico Devious, Void looks charmingly evil.
He's
For
now
sure.
he's now in a cabana in heaven that
Exactly.
he paid full price for and got his money's worth, because that's what heaven's about.
But I can get you he could probably get you a discount.
Oh, Evo can get you a discount. What kind of discount do you want? Sure, sounds good. Can I have your money? That's I understand this. Next one.
You guys.
This guy.
Okay, so Mike Weirs, who's in the chat room now, sent these photos in last week right as we were coming, or already written the script for last week. I love this so much. You guys, the patron of this bar in the middle of this photo, that's Rando. And Rando, Mike says this about Rando. In our small Alaskan town, Rando is a bit of a celebrity and gets to come into our local establishments. Here you can see, there's another photo if you want to toggle back and forth between them. Here you can see the bartender about to cut him off from his third Wuffleweissen. I love the idea that Mike lives in a magical town where sometimes you can be at the grocery store and Rando is also picking out treats.
Rando.
I love it so much.
I wonder if the dog's name was Rando to start with, or after a while, like just this Rando dog, dude. And
Right.
it's like, that's much better.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
much better than Samuel. We're gonna call the dog Samuel, but now he's Rambo.
It's
Rando.
Rando. And it's funny you say that because
Okay.
what I thought is that has to be the case. It has to be
Okay.
that, right? But then I thought what you actually just said accidentally. Maybe his actual name, like his owner calls him Rambo because
Yeah.
he's fierce. And everybody's like, Rando? Well, okay, come on in, Rando.
You're right, Nico. That dog is a drinking buddy archetype. This is exactly what you want in life. Like, you know what? Falling on hard times, I'm going to go into the bar and I'm going to do some damage.
And
I'm
this
here
photo
to
that's
do
on this-
damage to myself. And then this pup comes up, puts his head on the table. It's like, he doesn't say it out loud, but his eyes say, "What's up, bro? How you doing?"
Right.
And then you talk to the dog and everything's fine.
And he, in this bar, in this photo that's up on the screen now, he's all, bro, I got you. Just let it all out, bro.
You know what,
let
bro?
Let it all out, bro. I don't have opposable thumbs and I can't do this with my arm, but let it all out.
You know what, bro? If that happened
Look
to
at
me,
Mike. I love it.
If that happened to me, bro, I'd be upset too, bro. Bro, I would be
Bro, I
real
get
upset.
you, bro.
You
Could
know
you
what?
get another Wuffleweissen for me, though?
Bro.
Because I forgot my wallet.
Bro, you know what?
I don't have any pockets.
You don't have to be macho, bro. Sometimes, you know what? When you feel that angst, you just got to wallow in it, bro. You got to wallow in it and like rub it in a little bit, and you get like I do when I'm in the mud, or sometimes rolling poop in the grass. I got to wallow in it, and get
Are you
it all out
talking
of my
about being
system.
Rando or you?
I do not rub and poop in the grass. I feel that you have you have hijacked my joke and made it ridiculous.
I absolutely have to mention
Ridiculous.
this. Hang on, I got to find it first. Where was it? Michael Grace, who's in the chat room now, has this perfect comment for that photo. Can you put that photo back?
Sure.
It's not get that camera out of my face. It's the quote, if you don't get that camera out of my face, end quote, look. And that's exactly what that is. He's like, I got work to do. My bro here's breaking up with his girl. If you do not get that camera out of my face right now.
Bro, we've all broken up with girls, bro. We have. All right.
It's rough, bro, but it's all right. It's all right.
That's our shipping debacle. Like, that's all of our special saucy content for the day. Now we will go to the usual Let's Shill books, because that's what I do for a living. I don't know why the graphics so goofy this week, but this week, Stone Wolves episode... Oh, no, we got important news here. Stone Wolves episode 20 is up. 19 is up. You can go listen to the Scream featuring Empty Set movie maven Rob Otto, who knows a lot about gosh darn movies.
Also in the chat room right now.
Also in the chat room now. Stone Wolves episode and all the good stuff you want over at ScottSigler.com. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the podcast at ScottSigler.com/subscribe. You know what? I haven't done this in a while. Hold on. Let's see what happens when I type that in. I mean, I don't even know. Let's find out. It could be magic. Could be magic. Could be. There we go. You can subscribe at all these wonderful different areas. It would be awesome. And then we get back to...
I don't even know what Deezer is.
I don't even know it's still around.
I'm a million years old.
I know it's still around. And of course, you want to be notified when we launch episodes, drop any key news. Remember, send SIG text to 855-955-5095. I have grilled the phone company to ask them, does case matter? Does it have to be all cap SIG text or lowercase or initial case? And they were like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, what if it's half and half case? Like Mr. Sigler, it doesn't matter. Text SIG text in any form to 855-955-5095. It'll work. I have to go now. It's my lunch hour. Good day, sir. And they hung up.
Okay, but wait. Up. What if I use a 1 instead of an I?
You know what? I don't need that kind of heat. Thank you, baby. I don't need that kind of heat. They were not happy with me. They didn't not seem to think I knew what I was talking about. Update on GFL Book 7 we were talking about earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a hell of a week. It's been 6,300 words so far this week. It was supposed to be 9,000 by this phase this week. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, 6,300, that's pretty good. 6,300 words, pretty good. Should have been 9,000, therefore I'm mad. But where are we at? We are at 91% done. And ladies and gentlemen, this includes yet another update to the word count. I added another 5,000 words, take it from 1625 to 1675. My projection for this book is 167,500 words. Hard max at 170,000 words. 170,000 words. Of that, 152,488. That means we are 91% done with that book, and things are on fire. They're on fire. I'm rolling right. I'm rocking and rolling.
I absolutely have to say, for anybody who's super dialed into social media before you came in here, because there's dozens of comments on that tweet, Scott mentioned that in this wrap-up of GFL Book 7, there's a character you had to create for the purposes of getting out of the story.
Correct.
And the book, and his name is Smitty. And many of you are like, A is not going to let you write a Smitty. I don't know Smitty. I don't know anything about it, because how this works...
Ah, that's right.
Right. How this works is I am always available to be spoiled, and that's been the case well before we lived together, well before we were married, all that stuff. If he needs to talk to somebody and he can't talk to anybody else, he talks to me. Often, though, he talks to John Viscara, the continuity czar, and John is intimately familiar with the plot as it goes
Melissa.
along.
You're not helping.
I think also J.P. Harvey is also, Chris Grawl. They're often aware of very specific plot points before the book is ready to be read. For the most part, mine is a little more touchy-feely. He'll come down and he'll be like, all right, let's say we know Becca hates cucumbers, just hates cucumbers or whatever, carrots, whatever, pickles. And there's this situation. How would you react as a woman who has made or a person who's made very plain spoken that you hate these things and this is your only and whatever? And I'll answer those questions. So I actually don't know pretty much anything about the story of GFL Book 7. So all you people who are saying that I am not allowing a Smitty novella, not true. I don't know anything about Smitty. I don't think there's going to be a Smitty novella, but I want one.
You're also not helping. There's so much work to do this year. You guys, I'm literally having heart palpitations. It's like we've had one contract come in, one we are waiting on, and it's just already like, holy crap. So far, though, it's good, though. I'm not retired yet. Golden years. Oh, it's not my golden years yet. So, Smitty, I believe you'll like Smitty, but as A mentioned, this happens sometimes. Smitty was like, okay, I need a character to get out of this scene. I just need this character to interact with Fred for like a 1 page, a little witty dialogue for 1 page. And by the end of 3 pages, I was like, oh crap. I've been doing this a while.
Smitty. Now there's fucking Smitty.
I've been making stuff for you guys for a while. I'm already going back. Okay, I got to insert 2 more Smitty scenes earlier, hence the word count bump. And Smitty is a delight. And you will know this. This is fact. As Rob Otto mentioned in the chat room, everybody knows a Smitty. This is a Smitty.
That's true. I know
This is a
several
Smitty that
Smitties,
everybody
actually.
knows. This,
And I think recently, either last week or the week before, but very recently on this cast, we actually talked about Scott wanting to kill off Pookie Chang at the beginning of Nocturnal, thinking when he was writing it and podcasting it back in 2009, thinking, cool, this will be my way to get people to like Brian. And there was no mention that Pookie was in danger in episode 2 or 3, whatever it was after Pookie was introduced. And that following week, he got a bunch of emails saying, if you kill off Pookie Chang,
people knew. They knew what was up.
do not. And now we have Pookie. So hopefully Smitty's like that.
Oh, you know what? But don't bother asking me if I'm going to kill Smitty or not, because I'm probably going to kill Smitty for sure.
Okay.
I'm actually guaranteed Smitty's going to totally die. So I need to check. Rob Otto, don't go anywhere. This is for you, buddy. This is for you. Hold on. Rob and I have a difference of opinion about what constitutes comedy, and I will be very upfront and open to say that Rob is much better at comedy than I am. However, because we're done with the script, is there anything else?
I think we're done.
We're moving into questions, and I always like to have a question GIF, and I found this question GIF, and of course, if I have done this right, this will be the question GIF. David Pumpkin says, any questions?
Yeah.
And Rob and I have gone round and round this. I love Tom Hanks. This is not a funny skit. There's literally nothing funny at all about this skit. And it's not even like, it's an innocuous, non-joke joke. That's why it's funny. It's ironically not funny, which makes it funny. There's literally nothing in David S. Pumpkins, except, can you write this down?
Sure.
That David S. Pumpkins will be a character.
David S. Pumpkins?
David S. Pumpkins will be an inspiration. Those of you who know David S. Pumpkins can weigh in on this. Those of you who don't, go to YouTube, search for David S. Pumpkins, and watch these ridiculously stupid skits. We'll leave David S. Pumpkins up there while A calls up a question.
I have questions.
Let's go.
Okay. I'll do quick one easy. If you guys have questions and you want to put them in the chat room, go ahead and do that.
Yep.
The more concise, the better. I will start with,
Okay.
do you prefer writing in silence or with music?
If you guys, I can't be left alone with silence. If I can't be left alone, if I'm alone, everything's quiet, and I have time to my own thoughts, the demons come out, and things get crazy, and I'm just not excited about any of it. So there's always noise. If it's windy out, I can work on that. If it's raining out, birds are chirping. If there's normal neighborhood noises, I can operate on that. Most of the time, I have music going. Most of the time now, as I get older, almost all the time when I'm writing, that is classical music or that is soundtrack music, but music with no words in it, because I'm too drawn in by the words. It used to be that I could listen to anything but rap, because rap's lyrical density, and these guys are so friggin' talented, and you like can't but help but go back like, wait, how did he tie that together? So it would draw me out of the story. So I excluded rap. And now I've excluded rock, I've excluded metal, excluded everything. So I there's a lot of classical music that gets played up here, but it's not a very good sound system, and I love it. Yeah.
And I will tell you, in this has recently happened. There's a handful of changes that Scott has made in his writing, or his work days, so to speak, that help him stay focused and make the focus useful. We've talked a lot on this cast, this live show, about us learning to live together as somebody who has a lifelong ADHD diagnosis and somebody who has not encountered that before inside their own home. It's a lot of interesting stuff we have to figure out how to work together. But what I've noticed is recently he's changed to classical mostly. And there are so many different types of classical music. Sometimes he has very like Wagner, like giant, heavy, big, pounding, completely classical instrumental music. And it's still like, what is happening up there? And sometimes it's quite lyrical and lovely and light. Also, obviously, classical and instrumental only, but sort of very floaty and fairy
Yeah.
and light. And even last night we just talked about this because he came down and we were getting ready to have dinner and I was setting the table and he wanted me to hear the new music that he found on Spotify that he thought was just perfect. And I was like, oh my God, there's been noise all day. But it worked out and I was glad to hear it. But that's one of those moments. So if you happen to live in a household where there are people who are neurodivergent and people who are not, let me just say, everybody's neurodivergent in that house. You have to figure out how to work together. Like, I'm not co-opting the word, but everybody has to figure out how to work with each other there. And we're benefiting from just throwing up our hands and being like, okay, can you please turn off the music at 10 p.m. or whatever? And him saying, can you please not do that one thing? So that has been a big boon. And the non-lyrics instrumental music has been a big joy to me because I can't listen to anything with lyrics. But today I listened to classical.
Yep.
Because he showed me.
And usually it's orchestral. Today it was a day for string quartets. Who can explain? Mike Ward says, question, off the top of the dome, anthropic rifle to your head, what's Scott's favorite word at this very moment? I would have to say that word is scrumtrulescent. That is my favorite. Next question. Let's go.
How do you think being a writer has helped you as a person?
Oh boy, that's a little personal, you sons of bitches. Let's think about that. How has a writer helped me be a better person? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I have an answer for that. I think what I think with my upbringing and the natural personality that I was born with, in conjunction of those things, I think whatever I had gone into, I would have been a tiny, angry man spending all of his time working to try and I will climb to the top of this hill no matter what you do. I'm the best garbage scow captain on the face of the planet, and you'll all learn when I have a fleet of garbage scows that my garbage is to be reckoned with. I'm sure that's what would have happened. It's like no matter what I was on. So I don't know that writing has changed my personality at all. I will say that the writing has led me to a social circle of friends who have vastly differing backgrounds than I do. And while I don't think I would have been a flaming asshole about certain issues, because that seems to be something that you're born with or you choose by and large, I do think that through the writing and getting to meet all of these wonderful people at cons and getting to go on tour and meet you guys and getting to see you know what, I'm socially awkward and so is this son of a bitch. We're going to get along just fine. Getting to see all of that and sort of broadening my horizons on the fact that everybody is a person, human beings everywhere, everybody's messed up in one way or another, and the vast majority of us, the vast majority of us don't take giant steamy shits on each other all the time. Unfortunately, in our culture now, the people who do, I'm going to cause conflict and take dumps on people. Those are the people who get all the attention and get the crazy following. But by and large, except for those people, that squeaky wheel gets the oil. Most people are, A-okay and struggling. Most people are doing the best they can, struggling with an unfair hand. And that is what writing gave me, was the ability to look at more people like that. And that may have broadened into the work where you guys have noticed I'm confident I could write Adolf Hitler himself as a sympathetic character in a book. And you're like, I know he's crazy, but it's sort of see how he got to be crazy and do this evil stuff. So that is what meeting many different people has done. It lets me give all the different types of people and types of characters I use, make them feel believable in their own skin. You don't agree with them, but you're like, okay, I can see that's not an act. That is who that person is. Next one.
And I'll add, which is absolutely not the question, but is relevant to his answer, me getting to know Scott's books and then working with him, not this relationship, but a business relationship, getting to see how many people genuinely, truly, with good intentions and grace, believe precisely the opposite of what I believe. And we're not, we are talking we're not talking about pineapple on pizza. We're talking about big things. And Scott, there's a moment at the beginning of Pandemic, and I won't talk about it, but it is literally the first chapter of Pandemic. And the characters there are, I'll say, slightly alternative. And I'm purposefully not giving you all the descriptors there, but how you can't imagine how much email we get. And it always looks like this. thank you for showing this relationship as it should be. That's legal. It's whatever. It's how the world should be. And almost all of those people, generally speaking, are more left-leaning people. And we get exactly the same amount of email from people who are right-leaning who feel like that he didn't need to add these certain characteristics to make his point, which was a very solid one about the security and the choices that they're making. So that one chapter speaks volumes to many people, and most of them say nothing. Most of us said nothing. But there are some people who need to write in and say, yes, I know. This is how I know you're my people. This is how I know you're just like me. And I got to tell you, right down the middle, 50-50, people who think, I'll say this the very generalized way you say this in America, people who think the people on the left are wrong and people who think the people on the right are wrong. And it's literally split down the middle. Everybody claims that chapter. Everybody.
She is so accurate on this. We've gotten at least 3 emails in January for people who are convinced I was a barefoot Sumatran boy wearing a super weapon shoes that I had crafted from a T-shirt that was mistakenly delivered to me. 3 emails. It said exactly that. Next question, baby. We got time for 2 more.
Shannon Bethany asks, is Pookie Tang's descendant still in the GFL?
We don't know at this point. I haven't done a full audit of the GFL players at this point. We will do that more as I finish up the book, but probably not. It's a very demanding profession, and a 3-year career in the NFL right now is above average. Make it 3 years, that's above average. You watch guys who play 10 years, very, very unlikely. Guys who do what Brady's done, impossible to comprehend kind of thing. So Pookie Chang's great descendant is probably no longer in the league. Next question.
I would like to make a little point.
Okay.
There is one thing that Brady did that every player could do.
Retire.
Yes, bitches.
Okay, next question.
All righty.
That's truth, boss. True.
Nicholas Burke asks, for aliens phalanx, was there a pre-existing human culture on the planet, or did the ship survivors begin the civilization and build all of the castles around King Paul's crown?
Finally.
Before you say anything else, I will say if you haven't
Spoiler
read
alert.
Aliens Phalanx, stop
Tap
now.
out.
You
Get
won't
out.
understand anything we just said,
Tune
but
out.
tap out right now.
I'm not kidding. If you've not read Aliens Phalanx, number 1, you're wrong because it's very good. Number 2, if you've ever liked sci-fi movie, it's very good. Go read the damn thing.
Go with your bad self.
It's a great time. Here. That's it. Spoiler warning. Okay, finally get asked this question. So who asked this?
Nicholas Burke.
Nicholas, you asked a question that no one has asked yet, which I assumed would come up at some point, but has not yet come up. Now we're approaching the 2-year anniversary of Aliens Phalanx. The concept, not deceit. What is it?
Conceit.
The conceit. Sorry. Yeah. The conceit in this book is as these, I'll be as spoiler-free as I can when I describe this, as these children were introduced to a new environment, an environment which they had no supervision whatsoever and no parental instruction and no background, they kind of had to invent their own culture. And every child who wound up in this environment was only able to get there by grabbing their most prized possession or that which was close at hand. Most people grabbed food or weapons, or even though they were kids, they were smart enough to be like, we're in a lot of trouble, grab this. A couple grabbed teddy bears, things like that. One enterprising young person grabbed their favorite book, which happened to be a book on German medieval culture. Mm-hmm. And that wound up being one of the only sources of knowledge of things outside of that environment. So try and imagine you are a child. You are 9 to 13 years old. There is an incident where you are inserted into a brand new environment. There are no adults with you. You are under heavy predation pressures. You have no idea how to survive. You have no training in this all, and there's no one there to help you. You might gravitate toward a book which has some knowledge or some explanation or some way, like, I don't know how this works. This book says this thing. Maybe these things are combinable. I don't know. But now constellations, and that's an archer in the sky who's got a horse body instead of just a bunch of bright lights. So imagine if you had a book. That book might come in very handy. That book happened to have references to German medieval cultures, and hence some of the naming nomenclature for the upper class in that story. And then that became a cornerstone of a religion, which turned into another religion, which died out and then was picked apart by other religions until you get to the point where the book is happening.
So I will say also, if you guys are long-term fans, you already know this, but if you're not, if you're a fan from the last, I don't know, 5, 7, 10 years maybe, you may not have heard him talk so much about the way his brain works. Of he sees a thing that creates a germ for a story, and the best example I've seen him do this with is Nocturnal. He lived in San Francisco at the time. He was already sort of thinking of a sort of a sub-society, whatever, and there's a homeless population, an unhoused population in San Francisco, and specifically parts of town are worse than others. And it occurred to him that, like, there are homeless people sort of hiding in plain sight in Market Square in San Francisco, for example, kind of covered up like in their boxes and blankets and all that stuff. So they're not seen, so they're not an issue, so they don't get rousted out. They are essentially a duck blind. And so he got that idea, and then another idea sort of attached to it. And this same thing happens when he wrote Aliens Phalanx, like this general idea of German, some sort of ways of society, and then how every one of us kind of navigated our friend group or our social group or growing up and learning social norms and all that other stuff. They all come together as one thing. And this is the part where I sort of my eyes glaze over, because I can't do that. I don't do that. And he does it literally all the time. We are currently watching a show called Sex Education on Netflix. It's very fantastic. You should watch it. It's super fun.
So good.
And he does that a lot too, where he'll get an idea and pause the show and write stuff down, and I just know, like, cool. Let him do that in case it comes into something. So it's a unique thing to watch happen. But I if you had asked me to explain how he does it, I don't think I could do it. I couldn't do it.
While I'm not religious, Lord bless this angel, at least once a week, she has to deal with me being a literary RoboCop and coming in and just kicking in the door, whether there's a door there or not, kicking the door and coming in going, I have a story idea that will make us millions of dollars. Would you like to listen to my story idea now? Please, it will make us rich.
Blink twice.
And she will just put down what she's doing, like, okay. And I'll just get rolling. I'll be like, so I was outside and I saw the fire hydrant. And then the fire hydrant had a cricket on it. And I thought to myself, what if crickets could make fire hydrants? And that turned into this. And the next thing you know, guy's doing a backflip and breaking the bad guy's neck, Nelson. That's what's going on. Mm-hmm. And she has to listen to these. And I won't lie, at least one out of 5 of these is semi-marketable, but 4 of them are just, once I say it out loud, I'm like, that's not a good idea.
But that same idea, he'll come in and while he's telling me, for example, if that conversation, which hasn't happened today, I replanted some of the things on our patio because it's the right time to do it, right? So he could be like, I came in and I saw a cricket on a fire hydrant, and do crickets eat tomatoes? I think crickets might, a hybrid cricket could eat a tomato, and we could send tomato seeds into space with hybrid crickets. And I'm like, cool, let me just shut my computer down and listen.
Yeah, and she said and listens. So, all right, let's do one more question. And we'll sign out. Yeah, a short one in there.
I don't have here, but do we have one in the chat room?
We'll scan back to the chat room. I'm having fun, and it looks like the crowd, I mean, some people are tipping off. Praise pickles. All right, Alicia. Sorry. Alicia, don't tell me you haven't pickles on pizza. I didn't want to know that about you. Sherry, Sex Education.
I'd try it. I'm not
is a fantastic, fantastic show. Love it. I don't see any questions here, sweetie.
Sex Education we love. We also watched the first Resident Alien of the second season last night, and I was about to say we loved the first season. We really enjoyed the first season. We're probably going to watch another one to see, but we're wondering if maybe the showrunner, the staff has changed. We're not really sure, but we enjoyed the first season, of course.
I feel like it's the jump between Ugly Betty season 1 and 2, or 2 and 3. See, Ugly Betty season 2, it was a fun show. It was very captivating, very powerful, good actors in it, and then they did a whole season teaser at the end of season 2, and then you start season 3, and that's not even season 1, 2. I'm not sure. You start season 3, and they just eliminated the whole thing. They're like, oh, you know what? That was a dream. Literally, that was a dream. Let's start with this whole new writer's room. We got a whole new bunch of writers. We got 12 new writers because the other writers wanted too much money because the show's a hit. They brought in all these other writers, and the show was just straight garbage. And you're like, this is a mini rant. If you have something that everyone is loving and it is making everybody money, keep doing that thing that people love with the people who are making the thing that people love. Keep doing that.
So I think it's a little bit more complex than that, but I agree. In principle, I agree, but I think it's more complex than that because, of course, the way Hollywood works, you get a job. Yes, write season 1. We have 13 guaranteed episodes. Go ahead and write. But you have to be making plans in case it doesn't get picked up because you have mortgages to pay and kids to make sure they're healthy and fed and things like that in Hollywood. So I think part of it is what happens is if it's a slow burn show like Schitt's Creek was, like Good Place was, I think it takes a little time to know it's a winner. And by the time if it's episode 10 out of 13, when you know it's a winner and you say, yes, we're picking it up for another season, some people already have other commitments. They can't stop. And there's no way to do that unless you go back to a studio plan or something, which also has its own flaws. Like it's just flawed. So do you want to ask one of these more questions?
Just one more question I got asked. Someone in there asked, do I do reading or print books or audiobooks? It's all audiobooks. It's a challenge. If I get through a page and a half of a print book right now, I think that I deserve a reward. Reading an entire print chapter is excruciating. So I do nothing but listen to audiobooks now, and that's just the way it is.
Unfortunately, we said just one more question, but it's a super easy thing to answer Taha's question. Have you ever played D&D as a dungeon/game master?
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes.
Oh my. I have not. The first time I played D&D was last summer, and I played it with a friend of mine and his 14-year-old son and another beautiful human, and it was very fun, and I'm glad I did it. But it really helped me understand how invested Scott is in the backstory, which becomes, you don't see all of that, but, I'll give you a little inside baseball. I will say that Scott's understanding of the Tweedy family relationship, John, Jew, Ma, and Quentin, is vastly deeper than I understood. And I think that's because he was a game master for so many years. And there are a couple of guys in the chat room right now, Rob and Dan, who had to suffer through that or enjoy that. I don't know what to say. Because I suffered. But sometimes you still suffer through it. And still you suffer through your dungeon masters.
The answer is yes. Being a game master / dungeon master is the bedrock foundation of my style as a writer, my style as a world builder. The amount of knowledge of a world you have to have that never gets used and never gets seen when you are a game master or dungeon master, because you are sure when Rob's character walks into the loot store and he sees the one loot sitting up on top, the loot of gold.
And you're saying L-U-T-E loot.
Loot, L-U-T-E, yes, loot. He's going to pick that up, and I have this lovely adventure laid out in front of them all that's perfectly thought out in 7-act structure. It's going to be great. And then Rob's character walks into the music store and doesn't look at the golden loot because there's a very pretty girl working behind the counter who was an NPC who didn't mean to be anything. And the next thing you know, he's smashing counters, and the whole adventure goes a different way. You have to be ready. You have to know the world when things go a completely different way. And the 72 hours of your life you put into designing the golden loot story winds up never getting used.
Yeah.
That's how I write stuff. That's right, Rob. Old Father Slosh. Rob knows what's up. All right, I think that's it, sweetheart.
Yeah, I've got a handful of more questions. If you have any more questions, I'm going to scoot through this chat tomorrow to see if there were any questions we didn't answer. If you would be so kind, if you did an unanswered question, if you put an unanswered question here, to send it to info@emptyset, it would help me out a whole bunch. But otherwise, mark your calendars. Next week, next Wednesday, that's going to be
February 16th.
February 16th is going to be an office hours. We won't have any graphics on the screen. It'll just be, it'll for sure be the two of us if we can get it working in the Panhandle, Florida. Hopefully it'll be every Sigler in the house, at least for a little bit.
At least for a little bit. Yeah. Peace out, Dr. Dan Baker.
And then we'll be back 2 weeks from now to answer the button question.
Yep.
And until then, until we come back in 2 weeks' time, and hopefully you join us next week, we absolutely need you to stay safe. We're almost out of this Omicron thing.
We need you to stay smart.
We need you to stay science.
And listen, ladies and gentlemen, the masks are coming off. Mask mandates are dropping all over the place. If you are still out there and not vaccinated, I strongly suggest that you go get vaccinated. So when the masks come off and we're all being mouth breathers and swapping spit and rubbing tummies all over the downtowns of many areas all over the world, cities and rural both, that you stay healthy. Consider getting vaccinated. It'd be great.
Before we kiss off into the sky, happy Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. And also, happy Super Bowl Sunday. Both of those are this Sunday and Monday. Do you have a pick?
High Holy Day. That's a tough one. I believe that time will tell that people will learn that Joe Burr has fully embraced the dark side. Joe Sith Burrow will lay waste to many civilizations, but right now, you all appreciate him so much because he's the golden boy. He's the golden child. I believe that his destiny to be one of the greats of all time is inevitable, but I'm pulling that will not be this year, sir. Not be this year, young man, because Matty Stafford, after spending so many years getting his ding-ding kicked in and his tape ripped out by all the teams all over the world because he plays for the Detroit Lions, will now he will sup from the cup of glory and be forever interned in the Hall of the Greats. That is what I hope happens. So I hope Rams win. I'm going to be pulling for the Rams, pulling for Matty Stafford.
I will say 3 things. 1, I also hope the Rams win. 2, I for sure thought it would be the other 2 teams in this Super Bowl, and I told him so quite confidently, and I was 1,000% wrong. And 3, if you are not a football fan at all and you only know about football because you read the GFL, absolutely watch the Super Bowl. If you're a 90s baby especially, because that halftime show is insane.
I forgot about the halftime show, my God. I almost never watched. Look, this is going to be great.
Shannon and I already saw Snoop live in 2019. It was great.
Yes. Everyone in the entire, in 17 acres was high. It was crazy. Ready?
It was great. We love you guys. We'll see you next week.